Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Gallagher Shots YouTube channel and podcast. We are back for a little mini show for you, a little mini podcast. Myself, your host, Chris, joined by Decker, back off his holiday. Not as tanned as Mark, I must add. He is bronzed.
Oh, it's tan.
He is bronzed, mate.
Good
but what we're going to be doing on this one, we are going to be doing a kind of a quick fire topic-based discussion, Decker. We have 3 topics to go through. We'll probably stick less than 10 minutes per topic, and we'll go through these and just get our thoughts on it. And it'd be great to hear back from all you listening or watching as well, just to see if you agree with us, disagree, and just add some comments in there as well. So our first topic, Decker, is the news which just came out today. I don't think it's been made official yet, so we're talking about Monday, but there's rumors that Bruno has been given the captaincy of Newcastle United. So Bruno is going to be the official captain. We'll no longer have an on-field captain and an off-field captain and a club captain. The club captain is just Bruno. It was only in April, I believe, Decker, that we done one of these very videos and we had this exact discussion. Could Bruno be a future Newcastle United captain? Just a handful of months later, it's happened, mate.
Yeah, I think the video that we did, I think it was, who do we think, could be the next captain of the club? And I think me and you were unanimous of that. It has to be Bruno.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt at the time, and I still do. I didn't know what you've just said there, by the way. I didn't know that.
You know,
no, so
your pal Craig Hope has broke the news.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Give them positives for once.
That's for once. I was no, honestly, I think that's amazing. I think obviously I know the preseason friendly, he had the armband on. Obviously he did on Saturday. Yeah. But obviously you're thinking that's just because Trippier's not playing. But if that's the case, then I think that's an amazing. For me, I can understand some people's a little bit reserved because they think he's too emotional. That was was the tagline he got a lot, and I can understand that to a degree. I understand what people are saying, but he did go on that run where we spoke about a few weeks ago that he got booked every single game, and then if he had one more booking, he would be banned.
Yeah,
and
double
he went,
match. Yeah,
was it 10 games maybe
thereabouts?
More?
I think it was a little bit more. That was when we done that exact video around about that time, because we're saying that the exact thing that you just said there, like I saying that Bruno, he is emotional, heart on his sleeve sort of player, which is a good thing at times, but sometimes can get him in a little bit of bother as well. But we thought at that point he's shown a lot of maturity and leadership skills. And you, if people go back and listen to that recording that we did, you highlight the fact that the leader and the captain that you once used to see, somebody who's shouting and bawling on the field at players for underperforming or making mistakes or whatever that be. That's not Bruno. That's not what Bruno does. He leads by example. And that's exactly what you want from the captain these days, I would say.
I think so. I think a lot of people, I mean, they had the leadership sort of vote, didn't they?
Yeah.
Which he obviously got voted for. And I think in regards to people's worry about him leaving the club, now, listen, I understand. By giving him the armband doesn't necessarily mean, oh, he's going to be here for life now.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think when you give him that armband and give him that responsibility, he all of a sudden loves the club even more and is more settled and more happy, and
he's got more responsibility.
More responsibility, yeah. So I think he's the perfect choice, and I love the fact that when he's on the field, he bleeds it. You know what I mean? And he really does give everything he's got. And I think because he's got the armband on, he'll give an extra 10% if he's got it in him, bless him, because he does so much.
He's been coming across really well in the interviews as well, Decker. We mentioned a couple of times how emotional he is, and you can see he still gets a bit emotional now when he's talking about wearing the captain's armband. Obviously, what we haven't seen is those conversations have probably already been had with Bruno and Eddie Howe about taking the leadership role and obviously taking that captain's armband before it's been made official. Obviously, we're sitting recording this, like I said earlier, it's the club haven't announced that yet, but it certainly looked like that's happening from what we've seen pre-season, first game of the Premier League season. People arguing that Dan Burn possibly could have got the captain's armband, which I wouldn't disagree with.
I think if it was last season's game, it would be Dan Burn, that's for sure. So it proves it within 12 months.
But like we're saying, that you don't necessarily need your captain to be that big presence in regards to shouting and balling, because we've got this leadership team as well, and Dan Burn is a feature of that, and Dan Burn is ever present on the field these days anyway. So you're going to get that anyway, and probably from other players on the field as well. But we do have obviously quite young players amongst that as well. You look at Tino on the right hand side, look at Hall on the left. So the squad itself, it's probably quite even itself out across when you talk about leaders and young players coming through, and those that have got experience behind them now. You can't look at the likes of Joe Linton and Bruno and say they don't have that experience any longer, because they've been a fixture at this club for a little while now.
I think I absolutely agree. And I think at any club, that any club that is going somewhere or team, you need to have more than just one captain. You do.
Yeah.
And for all, yes, he has the armband, he's leading them out and he's doing what he does on the field. Dan Burn, just because he hasn't got the armband, all of a sudden is not going to speak to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He'll be barking orders at the back, and
we saw that the weekend.
Absolutely. So there's leaders all over the field. I just think I think Bruno does deserve it, and I think the players love him, the fans absolutely love him. And again, in terms of making him feel that this is the club to be at, I think that really does help.
And if he didn't feel wanted, which we know for fine well he does, he's top of the world at the moment, and the fan base absolutely adore him. It's even more evident now that, like you said, if another club was to come in, I don't think, obviously, we're not talking about this transfer window. I follow a couple of Man City accounts, which we do podcasts with throughout the season, and they've obviously been mentioning today that, obviously, since the news broke, that's probably it with their interest in Bruno. They're calling it a day and probably think we're not going to budge him at this point now. That's not to say this time next summer we're not going to be having the same conversation, depending on what sort of season that Bruno has. But the fact that he does have that responsibility and that role in the team now as well, you think that that's going to be a harder reach for a club to come in and go, coming to us.
I think so, definitely. I really do. And of course, at the end of the day, the success of what we have as a team and as a club will always be the number one impact, really. But we have faith in we have faith in the team that we have. We probably will get to where we want to get to. In giving him the armband, if it doesn't happen as quick maybe as we'd all like it to, I think he'll be okay with that. And
I don't think we're both sitting here thinking that that's the only reason he's been given the armband to keep him, because I think that's probably been done and dusted beforehand, before the captaincy's been appointed to him. But it just helps that at the end of the day, it helps, and he deserves it.
I think he does.
Of course he does.
Well, as I say, when you mentioned it was April, right? So it was before the end of last season. And I was absolutely 100% wanting to give him the armband, because every time you see him on the field, man, you can see the shift he puts in, the energy he gives, and he as you mentioned, by leading by example. Like, everyone wants to give that extra because they're seeing him running around.
Very rarely misses a game as well, unless it's through suspension.
Yeah. No, he's never. Well, touch wood. He's never been hurt, has he? So
yeah, I come back and bite us on the odds.
I know. God,
shit, sorry.
Shall we
move on to the next topic?
The
next one, going from current captain to previous captain, or on-field captain, is Kieran Trippier. Trippier has been playing for the under-21s, I believe, tonight.
Yes,
so it's
on
a Timeware derby. So it's him and Matt Target have started from the senior squad, which was a bit of a shock, but it's fitness really at the end of the day. Just put him in there, see what happens. But having said that, what happens with Trips now? Because I'd done my video at the end of last week, basically a predicted 11, what I thought Eddie Howe was going to go with. Personally, the right back was always the one which was in doubt, and a lot of fans were probably 50-50 whether it was going to be Trips or Tino. I wanted Tino to start there, but I thought Eddie Howe would have went for Trippier because of being on-field captain again, and the fact of that experience. I thought he would have went for Trips. So I was quite, I don't want to say overly shocked, but raised an eyebrow a little bit, saying, well, he stole out early there in regards to right back situation. Could have been something to do with fitness, but don't know. But do you think Trips might be the next one to go, Degger?
I'm surprised he hasn't already, if I'm being honest, given the fact, and we'll touch on it again, which we did in one of the podcasts before, the picture that he put on
go to Dubai,
good meeting and all that type of stuff. Remember that one? I was like, oh, this is it then, right? Now,
and the links, which back in January with Bayern Munich as well.
And I don't want him to leave, if I'm honest with you. I think he's been such an amazing signing for her. He's really, really helped the club so much. I know. Obviously, of course, Howe gets all the plaudits, and absolutely rightfully so. But Trippier was such an important part of everything that we were good. He set the tone, he set the standard. I absolutely love the bloke, to be honest. And I appreciate he did tail off a little bit towards the end of last season.
He had a tough time.
I started, and then, but anyway, going back to your point about the right back situation there, obviously he was fit enough to make the bench. He was fit enough to start the night, right? And this time we are. So, you know, I appreciate this will be for sharpness and etc. But he would have definitely been fit enough to go to play. I mean, sorry. But I do think there's not long left of the window. Like, it's not long left.
So, 2 weeks really at this point? Just over.
Which him playing in an under 21 game, I'm thinking, would the club risk him in that type of game if there is serious links here? Because I wouldn't if I was the manager. Like, whoa, we're not playing the night.
Protect your assets, sort of thing.
Do you know what I mean? Because if you're going to sell him, you're trying to. But now, also, how would Trippier take that? Obviously, because if this news is broke, he'd be made aware of that well before this.
Yeah.
How would he take that? Because he's been the on-field captain, and now he's no longer that either. So that must hurt you. It's got to hurt you by not being captain.
It's got to be a kick in the stomach, really. Has to be, especially when we don't know what's happening behind the scenes, do we really with Trippier? And if Trippier has expressed any sort of want in leaving, didn't really necessarily deny it when the rumours were happening in January.
No.
Never openly said that categorically, no, I don't want to, or the other way either, saying that he wants to go. I think the door's always open for Trippier. I think that's what it is at the moment. I don't think we're openly trying to sell him, because we'll probably daft if you're looking at it as a footballing point of view rather than like a financial solution to problems that we may have but when PSL and all that sort of crap comes through. But like I said, I don't think we're openly trying to sell him, but I think if a bid comes in, I would have a serious thing about it.
I think so, because Howard got interviewed, didn't he, in his first press, and it was Trippier was quite a heavy topic in that, and he kept saying that, you know, he's made no words to me that he wants to leave and he's happy to be here. He's been professional. Now, how's Over's going? He's never going to come out and go, he wants to walk out tomorrow.
He's not throwing anybody under the bus, is he?
I just look at it. I always find fans, especially on social media and stuff, just constantly look. Well, it's a funny one, right? People constantly look at the starting 11, right? And the put everything they can in that 11. Then they'll probably slag the bench off, by the way. The bench is dead weak as crap. But now all of a sudden, because they want Tino in, immediately that means Trippier has to be shelled. I'll get rid of him, doesn't matter. Yeah. But if something happens to Tino, listen, I've got all the admiration for Kraft in regards to how he improved. I mean, when he first came in, we weren't sure. He's doing amazing on the how. Honestly, I've got not a bad word to say about him. But I really wish we had Trippier. Would he be happy to be reserve all the time? Obviously not. I'm not saying he would. But I would love to have that balance. You know what I mean? To have Trippier there. And for our field as well, because of his leadership skills. And, you know, God, he just got England. He's just helped England get to the final of a major competition. The guy is still
out of position as well, really.
Out of position as well. The guy still has something. And I just think for what he's done while he's been here, I don't like that he's almost written off. I feel like people are just,
Do you think it's because of the way the season sort of panned out? Obviously, he was at fault for a couple of goals that were, I'm saying a couple of those were quite a handful of goals that were conceded. 2 against Everton, if I remember. Was it Everton game where you 2 back-to-back? It was a short pass and the next one almost identical.
It was awful.
Within like 5 minutes of each other. Chelsea game in the cup.
Last minute, missed a pen and it was awful. No doubt about it. There was a stretch in that month where everything seemed to go wrong for him.
And unfortunately, as football fans, we're a fickle bunch as well, and we kind of forget all the good things which have happened before that, and we just pinpoint and spotlight those errors and mistakes. And he never really recovered from that, really, did he?
No, and I do think there was more to it than that. But you're right about being fickle. I mean, you're looking over this. We've mentioned 2 games of football, so we've mentioned Everton away and the Chelsea away one. But he's played how many games forward?
Yeah,
I can't tell you the answer to that, but
he just looked a bit off the pace.
100%. But to go back to what the question was for the topic, to be honest, I think with Bruno now being made captain, if that's the truth, right, which we think it is, I think he's gone. Because I don't think that he would do that move if Trippier was still going to be a regular first teamer. And I don't think Trippier is going to stay at the club if he's not going to be a regular first.
That's what I mean. So we're sitting here saying Bruno having the captain's armband, that's going to make Bruno question any sort of future move he may possibly make and think, I'll stay at Newcastle. Flip it around, Trips having the captain's armband taken off him. That might
just exactly that.
That way reverse.
In the reverse.
Yeah, I think I'm not captain anymore.
Yeah, I'm not captain. I would,
last big payday as well. You want to think?
Yeah, yep, true. I would have played. I was fit to play on Saturday, but you've picked someone else. So even he's probably thinking, hang on, like. My captain's gone. My captaincy's gone. You're preferring another right back, which is all well and good.
And I think Trips is probably at the point of his career now where he's probably not looking for that big move to likes of a a Premier League winning side or whatever league. He's not looking for that. I don't think. Yes, he'd love more silverware. Of course, he would. But
I think that's why Bayern was so. That seemed
it was a shock, wasn't it?
It was a shock, and now he must have thought, "Wow, this is one last move I've got. It's going to another giant."
And he's taking that step there now. Yeah. So what's going to stop him taking that step again? Maybe a bit of a sidestep, really, in his career. If it's one last payday, then he's probably going to take it. To be fair, I don't want to see him go. I'm the same as you. Yeah, I'll be happy for him starting at right back. As much as I love Tino, I think I would like to. I'm not really asked which one of them, because I think the both of you get something different from each one. You can't look past the assists and goals which Trips has contributed towards since he came here. You're probably not going to get that from Tino. Let's be honest.
Yeah, because the delivery isn't the same. It's nice quality, is it, in that regard? But I think I would expect them personally. The buying links have now gone.
Yeah.
If he's going to go, I would expect them to be a Saudi or something like that.
Yeah,
100%.
Your thoughts? Final topic, Decker. We're going to go for a player who is due back, and it looks like Tonali will be returning in the cup game against Nottingham Forest. That's been announced today as well, Monday. Does he come straight back into the team, or does Eddie Howe do Eddie Howe special, where he eases a player back into a team?
Because it's a cup game, he's straight back.
You think he start?
100%, 100%. And I think that's good. If it was a league game, and that I don't think he would. If I'm honest, I think he may play part of it. But I think because it's a cup game, we're obviously probably going to make the odd change. Well, I don't know. Eddie Howe's always been quite strong.
There'll be a few. And
it
won't be a full 11, but there'll be a few.
I think Tonali will start without doubt, and I can imagine he'd be chomping at the bit. Amazing to have him back, because I know we joke, and there was a few people which were saying this, having a go really. Oh, he'll be like a new signing. In fairness, yeah, kind of is. Like, I mean, I know this joke used to get thrown around a lot, but
it was on a Pardew,
and I get the joke, but he kind of is, right, and he's a quality player. So to have him back must be amazing. He must be.
Are you excited to see him? Because I'm buzzing to see him.
Yeah, I am. I really am.
Especially what we saw from the opening game of the season when he played again and got his debut goal against Villa as well. It took it really well, and he was great in that game. We've been destined to see that trio, haven't we, really, of Joe Linton, Bruno, and Tonali.
Yeah.
We've been desperate to see it. It didn't click a couple of times, which we did see it. When it was him and Bruno, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was going to make this point, was like the dynamic between the two of them. It wasn't working, if I'm honest. It wasn't working. And I kept saying, I think Tonali should be the sitter and Bruno maybe a bit higher. But I think Bruno now 100% is the number 6. We're not going to move him from there. And I just thought Tonali was just struggling a little bit to get the grips of where to play. But you would hope, and I appreciate they haven't been playing, but in training and things like that, he's had a lot of time to work on that in terms of where he will play, what's his job going to be.
And we're going to have to throw in the point that everything was happening behind the scenes as well, which we didn't know, and that was obviously going to be affecting his performance, and he would have been all over the place knowing that this shadow was over his head in regards to suspension.
Mentally, it's got to impact you. There's no doubt about it. I know some people think you cross the line and it's out your head. It can't be. It can't be. But
it ruined your preparation going into games and things like that.
Yeah, of course, because just hanging over you, it's all the time. So it'll be incredible to have him back. I just hope that obviously that he doesn't get hurt or anything, and then he's out for another period of time. But I definitely think he'll start the cup game. I'm really, really excited to see him play, if I'm honest with you.
I'm exactly the same, Dick. I think most Newcastle United fans are, like I said, that glimpse that we had. Obviously, I know he played a few more games, but that glimpse that we had against Villa, he looked like a decent, solid sign at that point. Obviously, we spent a lot of money on him as well, and taking obviously AC Milan's one of the best players. Mm-hmm. He's got a lot to give. He really has. A young kid as well, and I think, give him time, because it might take him a little while to get back up to speed with things. He hasn't played a professional football and competitive football game for a year now. Yeah. We're gonna have to give him a bit of grace period here just to get back into things. Obviously, he'll already have that connection with the players. He's been in and around the squad from day one. He's never disappeared. The club want him to travel to like sort of Japan and things like that, but got told he wasn't allowed to feature in pre-season friendlies and things like that. So it's been a tough time for him. But the best thing about this football club is what Eddie Howe's done behind the scenes, just involved with every single aspect that he was physically allowed to. And it's great to see. So you'll always have, like I said, he's already got that bond with the players. And do you know what it is? I think we mentioned this, it was last week when you went on the podcast, we asked the lads around the table what they were most looking forward to seeing throughout this season. Obviously, return to St. James's Park. And mine was that moment Tonali scores at St James's Park, because it'll happen.
Oh yeah.
And if there was a roof, mate, it would go off.
Yeah. Well, I remember how loud it was when he scored against Villa, but obviously this one will be even more in terms of the sentimental value and everything and the appreciation and all the rest of it. And I think you would imagine as a player, the sort of the faith that we have the support and the faith that the fans have showed in him. We've sang his name at every game nearly. Do you know what I mean? When he's been banned, and in other clubs, other fans might go, "You've let us down because we've paid all this money on you." And you've been betting and you've been banned, but we haven't. The fans have stuck with him, and he must really want to repay that. Like,
it's mad how quick that they made a decision about banning him, but Paquetá is still playing in that. Like, still that shadow is still over his head.
It is, and apparently,
and he was betting on himself, wasn't he?
Getting booked, betting on himself to get booked. It's funny because the ones that I've seen the 3 or 4. It's hard to tell if, to me, they look like fouls. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to say that. Oh, that's the one that he's done. Like, I don't know. But anyway, but I know it'll be absolutely amazing, and I agree. You look at the team and you look at them, that 3 in midfield, and you've still got the likes of Willock there that can come in.
Miley, obviously, when he comes back.
Miley, Longstaff still a part. Listen, Longstaff, as much as I have the odd joke in here and there, right? And I normally get quite what's the word? Animated, hi. He's still a part of it, so you know what I mean. The midfield is quite stocked in that regard. But the dream would be to see Bruno, Tonali, and Joe, because that to me, that's some
on paper. You probably got that's the one.
Some real quality there. Like, so, yep. I hope it comes back. But I agree with. Just want to make that point again. We'll have to be patient. I've seen a lot of fans haven't even been patient after Saturday about the performance, and I'm thinking, come on here, let's just, you know what I mean. And it's going to take a bit of time to get up to speed. And you know, it is. He may well get caught in possession a few times. It's going to happen, but we have to stick with him, and he'll come good. I really feel he'll come good.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to see what he can bring to the team this season. And like I said, I think everybody else as well. Thanks everybody for joining me for this one. It's been a pleasure as always. We will be doing more things like this throughout the season as well, and they will always go out to members first as well. So become a member. It is just $2.99 a month. Like I said, you get videos like this. You get early access to most of the other videos we put out there as well, and you do get access to the Telegram group as well, which has just started back up there again as well. And it's been buzzing off the weekend as well, because we've had a bit of a drama at the start of the season with but yeah, catch me and Decker on a Monday night show as well. All Smile and Face the podcast will go live around about 8 o'clock every Monday night. We're off to do that now. We'll see you next time. Ta-ra.